Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with veteran jazz saxophonist, composer, and author Walt Weiskiopf. He talked about his newest 2020 CD in this COVID-19 world we live in. We caught up with him on July 17, 2020 to talk about this CD called European Quartet, Introspection. It's an EP. And it's a great one, and it's very welcome in this world of needing live jazz. Enjoy.
Walt, thanks for taking a minute out for Neon Jazz today. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So let's go ahead and start off here and talk a little bit about, we're in this strange COVID-19 world. And before we get into your latest EP, Introspection, talk to me a little bit about when you, like in early to mid-March, when you started seeing gigs go away and realized that we were going into a total lockdown.
I think like probably a lot of people, maybe most of us, I was in denial about the whole thing and kept thinking that it would be contained and it would go away. And as a matter of fact, in March, I was scheduled to go to Brazil to play in the Amazonas Festival with John Fetchak's band. We have a new record out. And we were just kind of on hold. It was supposed to be on. And about a week before, it was canceled. And that was right around the time that I was realizing that I probably shouldn't go, because I figured if I get out of the country, I may not be able to get back into the country. So it's just all that kind of stuff cascading down, as I'm sure you experienced and everybody experienced. And at that point, I just kind of gave in, and everything eventually on my calendar was rescheduled to 2021. And at this point, I have one concert on the 18th of September that's a recording studio that's set up for live streaming. But outside of that, my whole calendar is shifted to next year, and I hope it happens at that time. But that's not really clear at this point how that might happen. Certainly hope that it happens, but if I had to guess, I would guess that small groups like mine, like my quartet, may be able to adjust and have gigs like the one we have in September at a recording studio that's set up for live streaming. That might be an easier accommodation to make for a small group like mine and others in our genre. But big concerts like the ones I play with Steely Dan, that might be a difficult thing to adjust until we have a reliable vaccine, and that's kind of what everyone's waiting and hoping for. So everyone's dying to get back out there and play. And I know there's a lot of people who want to hear live music, but like everyone else, we just kind of have to do the best we can and stay healthy. At this point in time, there's nothing much else we can do.
Well, let's talk about your latest EP, Introspection, with the European Quartet. What are your thoughts on this coming out during a pandemic, kind of your overall feeling of this release?
My feeling is I feel very fortunate and grateful that in a complete state of ignorance about what was coming down the pike in mid-February, we recorded this album at the end of our tour. It was a pleasure to do, and the title, Introspection, has nothing to do with anything else other than I named a tune, Introspection, because it's something I think a lot about. It's got nothing to do with what was to come and the state that we're in at this point. And I just feel very grateful that we got this done for musicians having played together, having had the opportunity to work together over the course of several weeks, and consummate in that project. It was recorded really just in about 6 or 7 hours, and just it was pretty much done a couple months ago. But the way that I guess it's typical to release EPs in a gradual manner. Maybe in a way, it harkens back to the old days where they released singles. So 2 singles were released, both ballads. You Know I Care by Duke Pearson was released, and before that, The Peacocks by Jimmy Rolls was released. And on the 10th of July, the record was released as a whole.
So, obviously we're at a very strange, surreal time right now. What do you hope both musician and the audience gets when we do actually get the vaccine, we get back into live music? What do you hope we all kind of realize about what we've missed with live jazz?
I can only project and guess that both listeners and fans and performers, musicians are going to be so grateful to be doing what we do at such time as we can do that. And there's going to be, I imagine, a whole lot of enthusiasm and a lot of relief, a lot of joy, and a lot of thanksgiving. Let's hope that within a year that those things can come to pass.
So what have you been doing otherwise during this lockdown, to kind of keep your head afloat, to kind of keep your creative ed going?
I have had a chance to do a couple different, maybe just ivory tower kind of practice projects, that kind of thing that I don't normally have the time to work on, maybe because I'm in a normal course of events. I'm busy writing and preparing for what's coming up next, but at this point, everything's on pause, on hold, so I've been able to get to a couple things on my horn that I've been thinking about for a long time. I've been working on Hot House in 12 keys, and that for me is something I've thought to myself for the past, dozen or so years. I should be able to do this, but so far I can't. And now, because I have nothing else to do, I can do it. And I'll tell you, it's a terrific project for me, and I'm adding that to my list of bebop heads and tunes that I try and maintain on my horn just for practice. And not that I would go out and play that in public, but certain things are practice and certain things are performance. So I got that done. I also recorded a brand new masterclass right here at my desk for my music masterclass, which just came out, and I'm actually really happy with it. It never occurred to me that I would do that from the comfort of my own home, but when the proprietor of mymusicmasterclass.com suggested that I do it, I figured, well, I should probably just wait until we can go to the studio and do it like we did in the past, but I chipped away at it, and I got it done. It's edited, it's out there, and I'm actually really kind of encouraged. That's an example, I suppose, of an adaptation that I never would have made if it hadn't been for this situation. So I guess there's a silver lining that we can look at. I never would have pursued something like that, but I had the time to do it, and I think it came out really well. So that's kind of one thing I was able to get done. Of course, I'm still trying to get out there and play live gigs, but that's the big piece of the puzzle that still remains to be seen.
Right on. Well, hey, thanks for taking a minute out to talk about the project and this strange new world. I appreciate you giving me a little bit of time today.
That's my pleasure, Joe. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in New York City, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Walt for his time, music, and story. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.